Hello, here we are. We are now on the 15th day of our reflective tarot reads, and this week we're looking at Tiferet, 6 Sephirot. So it'd be the tree of life in relation to the heart, Tiferet. And today we're looking at the 4th Sephirot, 4 of Swords, and the 6 of Swords. The reason I've chosen the swords, because this kind of connection between the heart and our intellect, the swords are air, mind, intellect. I think it was in the early 90s a scientist discovered that there were 40,000 like neurons, like brain neurons in the heart, which sent messages via the vagus nerve, and the vagus nerve is our fight, flight, freeze mechanism, but it actually feeds into, the whole of our bodies. And we know, the stress of life can cause ill health, heart attack, stroke, diabetes, all that. So I thought swords would be a really good thing to reflect on, to kind of check where we were in terms of our thinking intellectually, and to really reflect on where's our thinking coming from, because if we got all those neurons in our heart, it's not just our brain, our intellect. Yeah, so I just thought swords thinking would be really interesting to look for the week in connection with Tiferet. Plus it mixes it up and it's not the cups again. So Tiferet, just as we're with it all week, just a bit of a overall of it. I said before, Tiferet is like the Venus energy. It's the heart, and it's about compassion, beauty, harmony, truth, balance, and kind of that open-heartedness and an equilibrium. It's the first Sephirot actually that mixes the two above, in our world, because this is the earth, that's the abyss, and that's kind of source emanation. But this kind of balances, and Chesed and Geburah. Chesed was the first week, Geburah was the second. Now we're going to look at those combined at our heart center. So yeah, interesting. So as I said, it's like a transition place between divine, the divine emanation higher up, source, the whole, the all, whatever way you look at it, and humanity, kind of our expression in form here. So our heart center energetically. So as I said, it's like a transmuting place. So Tiferet really is our alchemical center. I mean, there's a lot of paths from Tiferet there. They come from all aspects of the tree to Tiferet, so it's central. I see our heart as, I think it was yesterday I talked about the chakras. Well, the heart is the alchemical place to alchemize all those energies within our energetic center, but also, within our thinking and our emotions and our physicality. The heart is the place. And as I said earlier, that finding out about the neurons, and the actual fact that it's the heart that sends the messages up, like brain neurons to the vagus, and can cause ill health. I think it's really important, that we have that, we do that alchemical work, even if it's just for our own sort of physical benefit. It's a really important place. So yeah, we'll have a look at how those source, divinity, that those energetics all around us in our everyday in Malkut can bring beauty, truth, and harmony to us, and this lovely balance, and learn to walk in that beauty more, that joy, that yeah. So we're looking at the Four of Cups. The Four of Swords, to me, is like this guy, it represents to me like a mental stability, by withdrawal and reflection. You know, reflection, withdrawing into the heart space, contemplation, meditation, prayer, whatever your practice is, ritual, but bringing you into your heart space. It depicts the initiation rites of the night. So he'd dress up in white, he'd go and spend the night in the chapel. They were Christian, their tradition, so he'd be reflecting on God, on Jesus, you know, and Tiferet as well. One of the reflections I made while I was looking at this, because he'd be reflecting on, you know, source in form in terms of his place as a knight, what he was going to do in the world in his role as a knight. So it was a spiritual thing. But actually this week Tiferet finishes on Beltane, 1st of May. And I was thinking about that, because that is the union, you know, of the goddess Bel with the green man. And the festival's all about a union, that down into that Yesod. So he's trying to find his union, and he's wanting to allow the energies to flow, you know, and have a point of conception in his heart of the divine. So yeah, and Beltane is about that. It's about nature, conception. It's about fertility. It's about creating here, you know, either in nature, in our lives. So, but that's that reflection on the abundance, the four swords, the abundance of Chesed, the unending flow. He wants to find that in his heart, and that's actually where we find it, through our practices. So he's bringing his mind and his heart into a harmony. So the modern day version is heart-brain coherence, you know, to conceive a higher truth. So he might be, you know, as he's a Christian, he might be raising his courage by reflecting on God. You know, it's God in all, through all. It'll be Jesus specifically, Jesus' sacrifice. And actually that 6th Sephirot of the heart is called the Messiah, because it is actually about crucifixion. I'll show you that in the Hermit. Yeah, so he's centering his heart, and shedding the things and the thoughts and the emotions that sap his energy or bring him fear about the journey he's on through life. He's kind of remembering who he is in the cosmic scheme, resolving any imbalance. Yeah, so that spiritual practice of remembering who we are, and the abundance around us, the guidance, the, you know, the constant giving that's there. So that's what he is, you know. And then I see, and why I brought Beltane up, you know, this card, this is almost like the union of the masculine and the feminine. And there's a third. There's been a conception, there's a creation. So that's a bit like the Beltane thing. I can't remember the name of it. Greenwood Marriage, I think it's called. Yeah, so there's that sense that, you know, the child is the symbol of the creation, of doing that balancing work, you know, of giver and Chesed, and it's now in the heart place. They're in process of that. And they're pushing the boat through the water. And if you have a look on there, there's kind of a rough side, a bit of a ripple that's come. So it's like the middle way between the feminine side, the masculine energies, the middle way to the other side, another shore of higher consciousness. Yeah. So the other side of it is you could see that, you know, because I always see a real sadness in that Six of Swords. It always strikes me, and we're going to be with this card all week, so there's always that kind of, yeah, they're going to the other shore, yeah, they're you know, and that can be, you know, the promised land or whatever that is, whatever place that is. There's a sadness there. I mean, the woman and the child are kind of hunched up, and I've looked at that and thought, you know, I often think, well, they look like they're being taken somewhere they don't want to go. They look a bit trapped in by those swords, kind of restricted by those swords, you know. But if you look on the level of the, you know, the marrying of the two sides into Tiferet, the balancing of the outpouring and the limitation, you know, is this the masculine energy kind of out of balance, taking you somewhere where you don't want to go? Are you listening to your feminine, you know, your feminine intuitive, the receptive energies? Is your trajectory towards the center, towards the heart? Is it your heart desire? It's that kind of, or is there conflict in where you're heading, you know? So I think there are two sides with this. You know, is that the right shore? They're kind of the questions. Has there been enough reflection on the abundance, or are you allowing your action to take you somewhere where, you know, there's a fear of there not being abundance, there's anxiety, or you're feeling pushed to go in a direction you don't want to? Yeah, so that's kind of look at your heart with that, and do the work of that night, in the sense of get to your center, make sure you're balanced energetically. Then we got this Hermit, and he is a path from the heart, Tiferet, to Chesed, to boundless, endless flow from source. So he, you know, I said before, that's the Messiah. To move from the heart to source, there's a sense of crucifixion with that. But it, you know, hopefully not us, but our ego. It's the crucifixion of ego, to go from the heart to meet with that sense of boundless, endless flow, abundance of source. There's a sense that our small self has to take a back seat, and often that can be going on a journey where part of us doesn't want to go, because we need to lose parts of ourselves, our belief systems. This guy is a Christian. Is that too restrictive? Is he too rigid in it? So there's that sense of losing sometimes what is painful. We don't actually want to, but we know that we need to go there. Yeah, so it's the the relegating of your ego, your small self, you know, especially in your thinking, to the back seat, to serve. So it's light entering the soul. He's got his light there, and he's got this, which is the masculine and feminine. It's the illumination of and the harmony, equilibrium of the two sides of the tree, of the masculine, feminine, yin yang. It's kind of a picture of the illumination of the whole. Yeah, so he's got the ability to see beyond illusions. That's the journey of the Hermit. And when you go from the heart, after all the balancing, if you're going up the tree from our world, after all that balancing, to go to the place of boundless, endless love, you know, by Da'ath, the void, there's illumination needed. Yeah. So this week I thought we'd have white light, because I see the white light as, look at that, I love that artwork. Yeah, I see white light as a heart center because it's all the colours of our chakras combined. So it's our root, our sacral, our, you know, the whole chakra system combined emanates from our heart, from the Tiferet, in a white light, like a prism. When the lights split, we're actually white light, we're being emanated from white light. So yeah, the white light oracle. So this one that I've pulled is called, and it's number 6, which is Tiferet, and it's Shekinah. And Shekinah actually is Malkut. It's one of the words for Malkut, because Malkut is the place of divine feminine presence. So she's kind of like the energy of Gaia. I mean, so beautiful. I'm going to keep that there because I just think that's beautiful. So the Hebrew word for Shekinah is translated as the dwelling place of the divine, embodiment of the light. So our Tiferet is that. It's embodiment of light, dwelling place for the divine. Our body is a container of light and divine. So it's like living our spiritual path, our 4 of Swords, you know, doing our practices to align ourselves, so that our action, our courage, our choices awaken compassion in the world. That's what, you know, the light's for. Surrender of the ego, so spirit infuses the soul. You know, the Hermit path, surrender your ego, align your inner knowing with outer actions, and vice versa. So I'll read a little bit of this Shekinah directly from the oracle. Oh, we don't want that one. So it says the spiritual worlds want to help you resolve your worldly concerns. So like this night, it's safe for you to rely on spirit as a loving, protective, helpful and practical presence, able to positively affect all areas of your life, including facilitating the resolution of physical problems. Do not limit your spirituality with concepts. Instead, apply your higher knowledge and principles, grow your wisdom and live your path. Acknowledge your value as a person, as a soul. Treasure the gift of your path and let your spirituality integrate with all facets of your life. So that's our beautiful Shekinah. I'm not going to pull any more cards because that's a lot of information. So yeah, this is what this week is going to be about the balance, you know, in Tiferet, in the heart. So yeah, hope you enjoyed that. Lots of love. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.